Okay, here we go. Right. So welcome back to Being Your Best Self. We're going to talk about practice and being your best self. So we're joined by Andy and Thor. Thank you so much for being with us, guys. Let's talk about this. What does this mean? So Thor, you kind of have talked around this idea of practice and what that looks like. And Andy has we've had a little bit of a pre-conversation here, but let's explore this a bit more. What does that mean in terms of being your best self?
So I think for me, my best self isn't a fixed state. It's not like I'm just, I've reached a point where I'm like, I was put myself on the shelf and I'll just keep myself there all fine and neat. So my best self is alive. I'm an I'm an organism, a live thing. And so whatever is happening in my day and my weather, I respond to that and react to that. So recognizing sort of that flow, I know that I need to practice what I know to keep myself in my best self state. Yeah. I need to take care of my physical health, my mental health, my social health. I need to make sure that I keep myself entertained enough so my inner 5-year-old doesn't take over and start sabotaging. So I need to have enough fun.
Yeah.
I also need to have a sense of aspiration moving forward. Yeah. So I know quite a lot about my optimal conditions.
Yes.
So if you think about a plant, we all have different conditions in which we thrive. So practicing keeping ourselves in those optimal conditions means that we can then be in our best state.
Yeah. So you've talked about practice there. So is there a sort of sense of a training time?
Absolutely. And so, I know you've heard me say this before. I'm a big film buff. I worked in films for all of my 20s. So I use films a lot for my references. There is that kind of, every movie has that second act where there's a lot of training, whether that's cooking or ninja or whatever, learning code or whatever it is, where we learn the skills. Yeah. But then, of course, you get to the third act and the resolution of the movie, and then the movie ends. And it's like, well, what happens there?
Yeah.
And it's a question of use it or lose it. If I don't keep practicing my skills, no matter how good I was, I will lose those skills.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so if I've invested all of this energy and focus to build that skill set, if I then just don't use it, not only am I not able to be my best self, I feel like I've lost that investment in myself as well up until that point. So I think it's a combination of those two things.
Yeah, I really get that. And one of the things that just jumps at me is I learned to do the Rubik's Cube about 2 years ago.
Great. Yes.
And then I lost it because I stopped doing it. Yeah. And it was really annoying, actually.
Yep.
But then we went on holiday last year and I said, I'm going to learn it again. And it was very interesting, the experience of relearning it, because once I'd kind of reconnected with it, a lot of the muscle memory came back.
Yes.
Yeah. And I recognized that in other things.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in Germany as a kid for a couple of years and picked up the language. So I spoke it like a native.
Yeah.
Great. But now I've been in England since last century. I came over in 99. My ability to speak German has just gone as the English has gone up. So I have to listen to German, watch German programs or, bring some German into my life. So like if I'm in Germany or whatever, within a few days or weeks, I will pick it up again.
Yeah.
So it's but it's a bit rusty. I have to kind of get there again. So I think it's that kind of caring for the skills that really matter to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also building it into that every day. I think sometimes it's all about the rah-rah, but actually one of my favorite sort of training sessions is my laundry.
Okay.
So that mundane magic, so actually I know that when I do my laundry, hang it out, it takes me about sort of 10 to 15 minutes, depending on what it is. So I don't rush it. I give it that time. And then I straighten out my shirts and I'll straighten out my socks and I get the creases out and I care for my laundry.
Yeah.
And it's a great practice for me to do to just bring me down to the everyday.
Yeah.
Sometimes my mind can go in all sorts of directions. I work, my job is really interesting. I love what I do. There's a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if I don't have clean clothes, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like your hygiene factor, thinking about that whole, I'm thinking about Maslow here for a little bit, just kind of, what are the building blocks?
Yeah.
Yeah. And recognizing which ones you need to maintain. And some you'll have a natural ability and an affinity to as well. Yeah. And equally, there's others that'll be off your radar, as we spoke about earlier. And it's kind of making sure that you're leaving your mind open to thinking, oh, I've not tried that, or I've not done that before. Wonder what that could bring. Because I think, we're definitely a work in progress, and I totally agree with the whole idea that once, if you're going to just try to build yourself to put on a pedestal or a shelf, whatever, then it's, that's the beginning of the end, really, because it just doesn't
but a
work.
lot of us think it's a fixed state. It's like, I remember doing a dog walk with somebody, and I had a tough meeting I had that day, and I was saying I was not feeling very confident, and the person was so surprised that I wasn't like always confident. It's like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, if I haven't slept well, my confidence is knocked. If I'm hungry, my confidence is knocked. It doesn't mean that overall I'm not a confident, sturdy, sort of strong person, but it's not a fixed thing, So, and we often believe, particularly if we don't feel like we have got a lot of whatever it is, we can see the other person that has it all as that's a fixed thing. And it really, in my experience, it really isn't.
And that's just the lens we're looking through, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. We project our insecurities onto other people, and so it's like, oh, they seem to be really good at that all the time. How do they manage that then? Maybe they haven't some natural affinity, but it's probably more likely that they work really hard at honing those skills. And going back to our beginning of the conversation, practice.
Absolutely.
Practice.
And that seems like a really good place to finish. So has this impacted you? What are you practicing at the moment? What do you need to stop practicing, and what do you need to spend more time having fun doing? And are your shirts
on that, Nathan? Sorry. So I remember working with one person, and I was talking about practice, and particularly in terms of building new thought habits, because literally when you build new thought habits, you're laying down neural pathways. You're actually doing brain stuff, not metaphor, actual brain. And she realized that she was been practicing anxiety for years, and that she was really good at it. And there's like, well, I'm going to stop practicing that and shift across practicing something more helpful. And I thought, and she was a doctorate. She was like, I practically got a PhD in anxiety. I don't think I want to keep that. So on that phone, Nathan. So I just wanted to share that.
Brilliant. See ya.